Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fate Prototype Fragments of Sky Silver Volume 5 read through. Now, this does say Night of Fate Act Final, and I did check. This is the final chapter, but it's like 60 pages, and we have the bonus content after too, so I haven't decided if this would be the final part or not. We'll see how I feel as I do my reading. So, with that said, let us get going as we see what happens now that, Manaka is seemingly uh, sacrificing Ayaka. Let's see. Once upon a time, there was a girl who had become the truth itself, a girl who could accomplish anything. If she wished for life, life would spring forth. If she whispered death, death would spread far and wide. The world was linked to her, and she may have been linked to the world in turn. She was nearly omnipotent. To her, nothing was impossible. She could manipulate everything, accomplish anything, and tear it all down if she pleased. But possession of such power robbed her of the ability to take any joy in it, so she imposed a single rule upon her omnipotence. Never look at your own future. God, that is such a crazy way to limit it, because of course, if you know your own future, then truly you would find no joy. She, who was the world itself, whoa. Okay, that's an interesting way to word it there. Placed a restriction upon herself. A rule, a limitation, a shackle. Because without it, omnipotence was unbearably tedious. There would no longer be any meaning in remaining human, no reason to continue living. She would certainly die. In the end, this decision was probably the correct one. Waking up each morning, she could at least open her eyes, breathe, gaze at the sky through the window, listen to the songs of birds, and look at her father with clear eyes. She could perform any manner of magecraft she commanded. She did not cry when her sister was born as her mother and father had, but she could do things other humans did. Poke her little sister's cheek with her finger, testing its softness. She felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. But she was just barely alive. But that was all. Tick-tock, tick-tock. With each advance of the clock's second hand, tick-tock, tick-tock, with each day that turned into the next, her spirit stagnated. Beyond seeing everything, possessing everything, understanding everything, all that awaited was a state where the world and the self melted together. It was like reigning upon a throne while gazing into the ultimate void, a pure white purgatory. Yes, it was like the nature of a goddess, a state too difficult for a human to remain human while enduring. She could only exist in the form of a living ghost. But it's fine. This is fine. She didn't mind, even if it meant living while dead, even if it meant dying while alive. Without pain, without suffering, without sorrow, she could live each day without feeling a shred of it, because she had known a single joy. It was the future she had seen just before shackling herself. It was the result that would inevitably arrive as long as the world remained as it was. When I participate in the Holy Grail War and become a master, I'll fall in love. Yes, that's right. In the end, the moment she learned that she would one day fall in love, she chose to stop seeing her own future. She could have chosen to live out each day knowing her fate, with tomorrow open to her, weaving the threads of the world and time, selecting the future, freely deciding between every possibility. Well, that really sounds like the Spiritron calculator, the moon cell, honestly, right? Selecting the future. That key language there. But she didn't. She smiled and closed the eyelids of the eyes which saw the future. Why? 'Cause I want to feel my heart flutter with love. And so the fateful day came. Several years after she placed the shackles on herself, one day in February 1991. Will I really feel my heart flutter? Even though it was the day she had waited so long for, in truth she couldn't bring herself to have great expectations. Since I know I'll fall in love, it'll have to be someone who won't betray my ideal, my knowledge, or my future, right? Even before the summoning ritual began, she had already become exhausted. After all, the world still belonged to her. Even with restrictions placed on her foresight, everything around her was still nothing more than a mountain of tedium that she knew inside and out. No surprises, no joy, no excitement. Despite it being the day that she had been waiting for, she couldn't muster up any anticipation. The world was no more than an old familiar miniature garden, no matter where she went. A place far too small, where she could reach every corner if she so desired. They say that one falls in love, but even that would surely bring her nothing but the same cold, emotionless reality she'd always known, devoid of the kind of empathy felt by others. That was what she believed. It was resignation that bordered on certainty. However, I ask of you, said this heroic spirit who appeared across time, are you my master? He was overwhelmingly different from the way she'd imagined him. Different from her expectations. He was a heroic spirit likened to a dragon or a bear. Let's say, As he was a heroic spirit likened to a dragon or a bear, she'd assumed that he'd be more physically imposing, different from her ideal. If anything, she would have preferred a man with a sharper expression. Different. Even the nature of his overflowing magical energy was different than how she'd imagined it. So many things were different that she was genuinely surprised, delighted, thrilled, and so truly, she fell in love at first sight. Sincere, proud, gentle, his smile shone as softly as the morning sun, a kind soul who loved goodness and believed in justice. Though he hated conflict, he was stronger than anyone once he took up his sword. His shining blade repelled all that was wicked in the world. A fairy tale prince? No. A king. The king of ancient Britain, whose life itself had been passed down on as legend. Though not present as the heroic spirit properly enshrined on the throne, I'm going to say in the throne, right? We usually refer to it as a place you go in, right? He was a hero summoned as a servant to serve as serve a magus fighting in the Holy Grail War. The strongest and most noble, the wielder of the Holy Sword of the Stars. Okay. I've been hearing some people say maybe I should stick with planet here. I'm just gonna highlight this. We keep using this phrase, but I prefer planet because it is literally a sword of the planet, right? The King of Knights clad in sky silver, manifesting through the might of the Holy Grail brought to Tokyo, and the grand magecraft of heroic spirit summoning. The first classed servant, heroic spirit of the sword, Saber. True name, Arthur Pendragon. Her one and only destined man in the past, present, and future. For the first time, she came to know herself. The spirit she had vaguely clung to in her ghostly life, the hollow semblances of likes and dislikes vanished. She gained her true self, her true preferences that had long been hidden away. As a person existing in the world, life burning to the fullest. As a girl knowing the flame of love, of first love. I like him. He's my everything. I need nothing else. Because he exists, I can fall into his eternal love. Before meeting him, she was nothing more than a god born with the functions of a girl. Some might have called her a fallen god. Others might have called her a dissension of divinity. Surely, no one in the world could definitively say which it was. It's nice to meet you, Saber. In any case, that was how it was. I will surely grant your wish. Seijo Manaka had finally been born into this world. Okay, so who's reading this? This is an excerpt from an old notebook. Oh, okay. I remember when she was first born. Oh, so these are the Seijo family notebook. Okay. I remember when she was first born. After all, it was our first child, for me and my wife. A magus who truly values the lineage they've built up should first and foremost focus their attention onto whether the child possesses their magic circuits and their nature. In that regard, I must admit that I failed. Both my wife and I, first and foremost, checked her health. Was she alive? Was her tiny heart beating? Her lungs? Was her pulse, blood flow, and nerve functions normal? Had she come into the world safely? When I heard the breath, too faint to be called a cry, escape her lips, I felt myself move to tears. My wife did too. I, who should have been merely a seeker of the ultimate mystery unknown to all, A pursuer of the root of all things and the grand ambition within it, had at that moment become no more than an ordinary father, a man whose emotions were stirred by the birth of a new member of his family. Looking back, it was likely because my wife's influence had deeply imprinted upon me at that time period. Though she descended from an ancient lineage of foreign magi, my wife showed very little obsession with reaching the truth. It was truly a domestic woman, more adept at housework than the old witchcraft of her family's lineage. She was a particular cook, to the extent that she could monopolize the entirety of our afternoon tea time with discussion of the difference between a sunny side up and a turnover. Back then, I was lacking as a magus. What I gained instead, I won't speak of here. Time is precious. Regardless, I gained my first child, my eldest daughter, Manaka, my daughter. Even though she was like a doll, rarely showing any emotion or expression, my wife and I cherished Manaka. We spoke to her so often, touched her cheek, touched her fingers, pouring every conceivable thought into tangible form. Even if other magi called her a daughter who seemed to live while dying, we didn't care in the slightest. Even though she had eyes which seemed to see through everything and showed innate talent in magecraft, my beautiful daughter, who seemed like a song of love. To my wife and I, Monaka was nothing more than a daughter to be protected. Soon, my wife became pregnant with our youngest daughter. It must have been an immense burden for her, who had never been very strong. Or perhaps, as a certain curse healer told me. As a certain curse... What? As a certain curse healer. Okay, I'm gonna make that a... There you go. Or, perhaps as a certain curse healer told me, the protective force that shielded her during the birth of our first daughter had vanished. Despite her fears, she insisted on giving birth. Even now, I cannot say with certainty what we should have done. Overriding my objections, my wife gave birth to our youngest daughter, and visibly wasted away. It wasn't the only reason. The birth was undoubtedly a factor in her untimely death. Regarding our youngest daughter, of course, I treated her no less dearly than Manaka. My wife did the same. She devoted nearly all of her remaining lifetime to cherishing our youngest daughter. Though her talent as a magus could never hope to match our daughter, she poured her very life into creating a garden for her. She called it a witch's garden. Our youngest daughter, whose gentle smile radiated cheerfulness, looked so much like my wife. Her innocent gaze weaved beautiful patterns, Aya, across the world. No, I gotta find a way to put this in, because I'm guessing beautiful patterns here. I'm gonna double check that if that means, like, the phrase beautiful patterns means Aya, which turned into Ayaka. Because that would make sense, but I gotta find a way to naturally put that in. You know, beautiful patterns, I might say, beautiful patterns, which we called Aya in our home language, right? I'm gonna double check that for sure if that's what it meant by that. Because I find that's a better way to do it, right? Her innocent gaze weaved beautiful patterns, which we called Aya in our home language, across the world. I feel like that would make sense. When I lifted her, a faint sense like my wife's tickled my nose. My youngest daughter, Ayaka. My eldest and youngest daughters were both proof of the love my wife and I shared. How could I possibly choose between them if asked? Writing such pretty words now is meaningless, though. After my wife died, I reclaimed my identity as a magus, devoting myself to the study and practice of magecraft. In other words, I barely fulfilled my duties as a father. Several relatives remarked that I had finally come to my senses. Indeed, in a sense, one could argue that I had been mad with love for my wife. Still, I made Ayaka lonely. As for Manaka, it was unclear if she possessed the sensitivity to even recognize it. Yes, Manaka. Let us get to the point. Manaka, participating as a master in the Tokyo Holy Grail War, underwent a clear transformation beginning from the moment that Saber was summoned. She ceased being a doll and began to behave like a girl her age. Over these past dozen days or so, she's shown expressions I know quite well. My wife once blushed the same way. That is, the face of a woman in love. Should I thank Saber? It is he who guided Manaka's human growth. Had there been no Holy Grail War, had Saber not manifested in the world, I never would have been given the opportunity to see such a smile on her face, even if it meant the birth of a terrifying being. Oh, that's enough irony. He gave me a holy relic the other day, concerned for Ayaka's future. Now he's lent me his strength. I believe that in the Holy Grail War, only one's own lineage can be called allies, and yet here I am relying on his servant in the 7th hour. Okay, this makes it sound like he gave the sheath or something. I pinpointed the location of the Greater Grail. Considering the scale and capacity of magical energy we anticipated would be required for the ritual, it wasn't all that difficult of a task. The investigative materials Manaka and Assassin had seized from the Assemi on the subject proved to be immensely useful. I must confirm what Manaka, my daughter, is trying to do. I must save Ayaka, my daughter. You know what? Let's double this up. Let's put more of a focus, right? Yeah. As a magus, as a husband entrusted with 2 daughters by his wife, and as a father. Okay, so these are, I mean, it makes sense. These were his, but I wanted to be sure, right? Okay. There was darkness. A colossal mass of gluttony, pulsating without end as it drifted between being with or without substance with gaping jaws. With the Greater Grail beneath Tokyo as its shell, with immense magical energy held within it. Within the 3-dimensional magical circle surrounding the lightless cavern, its flesh was like a quivering mud, with despair as its only companion. It still had yet to possess a head. It had long since gained its first 4 hills, and only had just absorbed 2 more of the 3 that remained. With the soul of the 7th servant, the 7th heroic spirit with the 7th crown, it could spout as many heads as it desired. But for now it had no choice but to endure. If it consumed, chewed up, and swallowed whole just a few more of the countless sacrifices sent to the 7th's place, then perhaps the 7 heads and 10 crowns would form at last. So until then, without eyes or head, it could only gaze upward as a fleshless sea of flesh. Until its gentle mother returned. Yes, that's right. Mother. She was its mother. Beneath the earth, it did not recognize the Almighty Father as its creator. Always smiling, casting a gentle gaze upon it, what else could she be but its mother? She looked like a young girl. Whenever she returned to the cavern, she always brought a new sacrifice. That splendid, beautiful, almighty girl. She was its mother. The writhing sea of dark flesh had no brain, no organ which could govern thought to act as a substitute, and yet it trembled with joy. Though impossible to translate into language, if forced to express the feeling, it may sound like this.
Welcome home, Mama. I've been a good boy. When you were gone and tore apart so many sacrifices and devoured their souls. So many. Praise me, Mama.
Good boy. The girl who was its mother appeared on the cliffs of despair and spoke. Far above it, a considerable distance from the flesh which writhed deep underground, and yet the girl's whisper reached it as clear as day. Without fail, a sound more delicate than the song of a fairy reached the faceless mass which could not hear, and the form embodying grace and transience reached the faceless mass without sight. Someone else seemed to be with the girl. Someone terribly small. Much smaller than the bodies of the sacrifices who automatically thrown themselves from the cliff into the depths below. Judging by their appearance, it was human.
Ah, so she has brought me an infant.
Having no experience eating infants. Yeah, same. I personally don't have that. I could direct you to some rich 1%ers who went to an island to do that, though. The surface of the dark sea of flesh rippled softly with anticipation. It lacked biological taste buds, yet tended to relatively favor the unique sensation of formless souls decomposing and being replaced with their own constituent elements. A child with an innocent soul. Was it worth consuming and absorbing? Though the loss of consciousness was rather disappointing. Hiss? A voice. Has the child awakened? No problem. Some of the souls already claimed had an unsuitable excess of fear. To say so would be mere deception and self-satisfaction. In truth, Fear greatly enhances the formation of a pulsating, undulating mass of flesh. What a phrase! What a sentence! God, put that on the back of the box. What? Where are we? The child couldn't comprehend the situation. Why was her beloved sister grabbing her by the collar and dragging her? What was this vast, unfamiliar place? What was this murky, pitch-black darkness which radiated such immense magical energy? And these women, lined up at the edge of the cliff. She could not have possibly known that they were the victims of the mass disappearances rumored throughout the city over the past few days, sacrifices abducted from all over the capital. They were conscious, but unable to move even a finger, tears streaming from their lifeless eyes. It must have seemed like a nightmare to the girl. Huh! Chaos engulfed the girl's mind, racing through her entire body and invading her consciousness as terror. Her spine began to tremble violently, her teeth began to chatter. The rate at which she blinked spiked for a moment, but her eyes soon widened. With a crystal clear gaze, she stared at the sacrifices, tears welling up. No, I don't like this. It's scary, big sis. Her younger sisters? No. The child's voice caused the sea of flesh to surge violently. Was it because its nature was one that which relished? Yes, the sight of fragile humans trembling in fear and confusion? Or was it something else? Don't be selfish, Ayaka. Still smiling, the girl came to an abrupt stop. The moment she released her grip on the child's clothes, she extended her slender, pale white fingers forward. Implicitly, she was ordering the sacrifices to move. Advance, she commanded. The sacrifices began to walk. Up the face of the cliff, forward, forward, forward. Naturally, starting with those at the front, they began to fall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. March of death had resumed. One after the next, without end. Girls, likely in their mid to late teens, tears of despair and resignation overflowing from their eyes, were not even permitted to cry out for help as they cast themselves into darkness. It was an automated suicide machine. The form of the great evil, as Castor had cried out with tears of blood. For the writhing mass of flesh in the darkness beneath the earth, it was an extremely sufficient supply process for constituent materials. No one would be spared. No exceptions would be permitted. Human girls born on this earth who had grown and obtained supple bodies. I don't like that phrase for how young they are. I get it, but all would be crushed equally. After falling into the dark jaws of chaos, this formless mass of flesh, not only their bodies, but their very souls would be chewed slowly to pieces. They all hold hands and wait their turn. But Ayaka is special. Into the child's ear. The girl, having crouched down unnoticed, whispered, as if mischievously suggesting that they take sweets without their father's permission. Fall now and become material for it. Because you aren't special, are you? Then you have no choice but to fall in. Ordinary people only have so much value, after all. Her voice was bright. The child must be remembering something. A memory from 2 weeks prior. One morning, bathed in the sunlight that streamed through the window, her sister had made a large amount of British cuisine, twirling around like a dancer, happily talking about love. Even if she wanted to understand, that understanding would never be granted to her. Why was her sister killing all these girls they didn't know? Why was she telling her to fall with them? Why? The child's thoughts warped, twisted, and cracked, sensing the fragile sensation peculiar to a mind descending into madness, the sea of flesh writhed, devouring another sacrifice. No! The tears flowed out. The child's mouth opened wider and wider. No! A scream, a shriek, and yet, paying no heed to her whatsoever, the girl casually grabbed the child's hair and... How selfish. What a selfish child. So ordinary, and yet she does this. Dragged her back to the edge of the cliff, without mercy, without any hint of emotion even at the furthest corners of her lips.
Oh, wondrous girl, you truly are my mother.
Who could have sensed it with the entire space filled with something akin to joy? The sea of flesh, without ears, nose, tongue, limbs, or even a brain to serve as its source of consciousness, nevertheless had thoughts infinitely close to those of an intelligent being. Each and every cell pulsed with joy. It was overwhelmed. Any shallow doubt that, despite possessing omnipotence, the girl who was trying to shatter the Holy Grail's shell and give birth to it was ultimately just a sort of human that had vanished completely. The girl harbored absolutely no emotion toward her blood relative. None. Truly. For instance, the child's reaction to her sister. Not a shred of the affection born of blood not a shred of the affection born of blood ties could be found in the girl. No scorn, nor trace of malice. Okay, so I think that would also be... We'll go nor with that, because that's the opposite there. Nor scorn, nor trace of malice. To her, the child was nothing more than all things that she beheld in the universe. The sky, the earth, plants, flowers, animals, insects, humans, families. All were just as powerless and ephemeral. All were just as pitiable. All were just as worthless. All were just as insignificant. In this world, there was only one thing of value to the girl. If the world were colorless, then only the night clad in sky silver would have color. Which is ironic, because I would say sky silver is quite colorless if you ask me. Everything else would be gray, transparent, and flimsy, existing yet lacking mass, equivalent to nothingness itself. The Holy Grail, the miracle, even the darkness itself, born from the futile waves beyond it.
Oh, great Babylon! You are the return of vanity and decadence, the mother of all seductresses and all that is detestable on earth.
So I'm guessing, okay, so it's saying that she is mother harlot, giving birth to this beast, right? Is that what we're saying? Because these have all been, right? Wondrous girl, you truly are my mother. Calling her the whore of Babylon. Huh, okay. What are you doing, Manaka? The man's voice rang out, not by chance, but by necessity. The one trying to stop the girl with words of restraints belonged neither to the Mage Association or the Holy Church. It was none other than her father, Seijo Hiroki. Faced with his daughter's atrocity, he was unflustered, unbowed, and spoke with such composure that one could only admire his considerable fortitude. It was not just the mentality of a magus, it was the might of the father. What? This is the Holy Grail's true purpose, father? The girl released her sobbing sister and turned to calmly face her father. Like a daughter defying her parents' orders while remaining perfectly logical. Huh? Do you seriously believe that nonsense about granting wishes? I don't just believe it. It's the truth. Her father clenched his fist. Because she's saying, Wait, no, this is her. Right? Huh? Did you seriously believe that nonsense about it granting wishes? Oh, okay, yeah. I don't just believe it, it's the truth. Her father clenched his fist. The Holy Grail is our bridge to the root. It is the ambition we've held for thousands of years. Yeah, because he would still believe this. The hope that will carry us on through the next 1,000 years. Don't you dare use it for a thing like this to suit your selfish desires. You know what? I know it's not in the original, but just to make it easier. Right? There we go. Right? Right, she spoke. Yeah, okay, that just makes it a bit easier to understand there. An explosion. The sound of a life shattering to pieces. The sea of flesh. Drifting in the depths. Watching the father-daughter confrontation. Sensed magical energy erupting on the cliff. Curse-killing witchcraft. A single-action spell with no incantation. It must have been a ritual set up in advance, or something that relied on a mystic code or magic crest. The force to rupture a target's internal organs from within seeped into the girl. Oh. So? Did the girl die? Oh, she had a bomb placed in her to instantly pop if need be. Did the girl die? No. She had blocked it completely. The one who... Oh, is that why she had the scar? Oh, shoot. Okay. That's why she had that scar. Basically, her body popped. It was meant to kill her, but it didn't, right? Because when we look at her in in like other media, she has like a scar right in the chest. Okay. Right? She had blocked it completely. The one who lost her life, with multiple organs around her heart exploding, was one of the sacrifices on the cliff. Oh, no, she just bounced it off. Tears still streaming down her face. The spell must have ricocheted and struck her. Oh, no, so it just completely missed her. Think of it as unfortunate collateral damage. Without any sign that a counterspell was used, the girl simply stood. Her overwhelming power was like someone remaining unbothered by a direct hit from a guided missile. It can't be. A bridge to the root? What a dull goal, Father. Because... And her father could see into the girl's eyes. Where sky blue eyes like her mother's should have been, there was something else. The infinite the abyss of the cosmos. Infinite darkness and the glittering stars. The Great Mother. The Princess of Monsters. The Maiden of the Root. I've been connected to it from the day I was born. Oh. Okay. So is that connected in a way like Void Shiki is? I wonder. With her declaration as the trigger, in an instant, the black hand reaching up from the depths became a torrent of dense flesh, crushing Seijo Hiroki along with part of the cliff face. It swept up several of the sacrifices too, but they would have become prey anyway, so it didn't matter. Multiple bodies were ripped apart at once, crushed. Bones were shattered, pulverized. The raw sensation transmitted up from the depths. There was no emotion in it. Except for rare exceptions, the darkness below, with the Greater Grail as its shell, still had no consciousness. Did not engage in thought that could be possibly be expressed in human language. It simply continued to devour. It simply waited, obeying the orders of its mother, the girl, for the moment it would manifest into the world. Okay, I need a drink. So Ayaka's gonna, like, repress all of this once she is done and we're into prototype itself, huh? Papa? In a daze, Ayaka's mouth was agape. She's cute like that, like a little animal. I almost want to watch her a little longer, but no. This is the end. Big sis. Why? Ayaka forced the words out as if squeezing them from her throat. How devoted? Was it because Father died? Or perhaps was it because of me? Ayaka, you're only valuable as material. Goodbye, human who was my sister. Precious little Ayaka, with eyes the same color of my own. Oh, who was so fond of me. Did I not tell you? It would have been best if we never met again. No, too late for that. You got too close to my destined partner, and you even had a conversation with him. It's odd, but I simply can't let you go. I'll give you worthless girl. You should be happy, Ayaka. You should be grateful to give your life for his. Goodbye, Ayaka. And so I bid you adieu. I lift the arm that had just crushed Father, this time aiming it at you. It'll all be over soon. I'm sorry if it hurts. And then, a splatter of vermilion. And he was there. The breath of my beloved, the King of Knights, with his holy sword, his tension, his resolve, his hidden determination. Oh! A muffled sound. The sound of pierced flesh. The sound of a pierced heart. It was a stab wound. Straight through. The golden blade was thrust out from the black-feathered command spell on my chest. Yep, that's what it was. She had it. She got stabbed from Arthur. Huh? The very first gift that my beloved ever gave me. I never dreamed of it. This unbearable pain, this unbearable agony. That you would impale me from behind like this. Saber, why did you stab me? You're so mean, Arthur. Why would you stab me without saying a word? No, wait, Arthur. You are saying something, I just can't hear it. I can feel the vibrations in the air, and yet his voice won't reach my ears. It hurts. It hurts, Saber. It hurts so much. I'm sorry. It hurts too much. I can't understand what you're saying. It's so sad. So very sad. It hurts, see, I can't see. It hurts too much. I'm going to die, aren't I? So sad. So sad that I won't be able to see your face anymore. This is a very funny typo. Pat President Future. That's right, Patrick Boivin. No, past, present, and future. In every world, the one and only I devote my feelings to. You who shape my human self, my everything. I just had a feeling, like imagine if I just put Pat in the thumbnail. And people were like, what the freak happens in this final part? That would be very funny. I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll do that. I'll need to think about it. My beloved, my dearest. I never thought that it would end like this so suddenly. I thought that the end would never come. But at least, yes, at least, the last face that I show you has to be a smile. Oh yeah. Right through. Right through. Wow. Right through. Well, that explains again where she gets that mark, and that makes total sense. I love you, Saber. His view was darkened. His consciousness dispersed. Of course, by piercing his master from behind, he had severed his own supply of magical energy. Saber had no choice but to vanish in thin air. Even with the terrifying magical energy within his body, even with the heart of a dragon that could sometimes be called a reactor core, losing his master, the keystone which enabled his manifestation in this world, would make remaining in the Tokyo of 1991 virtually impossible. Even if he still had things left to do, even if he wished for the one who saved the innocent to be the true hero, he would not be. His decision to strike Seijo Manaka down first must have surely been a painful one. If efficiency alone were his priority, he would have swung his holy sword to annihilate the things slumbering within the Greater Grail along with Manaka. Instead, he chose to save the sacrificial girls, now transformed into automated suicide machines. They jumped from the cliff one after another, and to save Seijo Ayaka, who was about to be cast into the depths. And so, Manaka died. The girl in the emerald green dress was swallowed into the abyss of darkness in her sister's place. However, Saber could not perceive what would lay beyond that point. Were the sacrifices saved? Did they regain their stolen wills and intellect and escape to the surface without further loss? The child he came to protect, Seijo Ayaka, who had guided the bearer of the holy sword to salvation, she seemed to have lost consciousness, but did she awaken safely? No. Any information from beyond the moment that he struck Manaka was entirely beyond his grasp. His physical form remained, seemingly beginning a gradual dissolution. So there was still a sliver of possibility that it might function, but more than anything, his eyelids would not open. There wasn't even the slightest hint that his consciousness had awakened on the other side. Within an undulating state of drowsiness distinct from sleep or a dream, he had no choice but to proceed to the beyond as the world directed him to. In this liminal space where a consciousness eluded him, Saber could only pray. Please, may the Tokyo of 1991 be saved, and may this child be protected. To what did he pray? To the dark Holy Grail? To the true Holy Grail that held his Lord's glory? Wait. This was the land of salvation. This was the day of salvation. Did you not already accept the fact and swear upon it anew, Arthur Pendragon? I swore to protect you, Seijo Ayaka. And there's no reason that things should end here. The first voice. The voice of an unfamiliar man. As Saber directed his consciousness, which had already begun to lose its unified sense of self, an inexplicable image appeared in his mind's eye. A blonde man holding glasses. Judging by his attire, he was either from the 20th century or perhaps the 19th. Who the frick is this? You are falling now. Your body, that is. You hurled your master into the depths, but you fell along with her. The place you're falling toward is the one where our souls are fused into one. What the frick? Who? Blonde man holding glasses? Wait, is this friggin' Jekyll? Oh my god! Wait, huh? Huh, so that's how you see it. There was no mistaking it. The one who appeared there, the second voice, was none other than Archer. Oh! The man who sent his life scattering into the wind during the final battle of the temple over Tokyo Bay. The great hero of the East who pierced the God King with a single shooting star and saved the people of Tokyo at Saber's side. I think we're going to do that. I think we do this as a title. Hero of the East. That's a proper title. And God King too. The one who died exactly as the legends and lore described him. Yes, the heroic spirit who had already lost his temporary life as a servant. Is this an illusion then? Yeah, an illusion or a dream, I suppose. Wait, Archer, I disagreed with that interpretation. Could this rare psychological phenomenon be... Oh, wait, no, this is freaking, Berserker. Wait, Archer, I disagreed with that interpretation. Could this rare psychological phenomenon not be considered an expression of the collective unconscious? I would be proof of that. A version of me that he has never encountered as manifested. We can't simply call it a dream. Pretty logical for a berserker, aren't you? Archer shrugged his shoulders. Then his gaze fixed directly on him. Anyway, Saber, you're not about to give up here, are you? An unmistakable call. The Persian bowman was urging him to fight, to resist until the very end. But he could not respond. Saber was no more than the scattered remnants of a fading consciousness. He possessed neither the lips nor tongue to speak. I'm going to do that as 2 sentences, because that is a comma splice. Save the world. Oh, save the world! The third voice echoed with the sun's scorching heat. The space coalesced into a visual scene. Beyond an object resembling both a black cauldron and a nostalgic round table, he stood. I'm sorry, is a black cauldron a real thing in, like, the Knights of the Round Table? Because I've never heard of that, other than the Disney movie. There was no mistaking his eyes, blazing like raging flames. Saber gasped, his eyes widening involuntarily. Rider. The God King himself. The foe he had slain alongside Archer. I admit it. Though I am a divine ruler, I do possess the face of a tyrant as well. And so I cannot save a world so utterly twisted and hideous, especially in this modern age, which craves prosperity and consumption with far too much greed. It is far too weak for me to yield my power as I please. Crossing his arms at the edge of the object, he spoke with a displeased look. And so, you shall save it instead, hero. It wasn't a request, it was an order. However, he could not nod in agreement. With his consciousness and the body disconnected from the world, he had no head to nod, even if he wished to. Sigurd. No, Saber. Wielder of the Holy Grail, I entrust everything to you. The fourth voice. A glimmer of amethyst he could never forget. Lancer with a weapon, somewhat smaller than when he last saw her, offered no more words. A slight distance away from the black object, she fixed her gaze upon him. Oh wait, is the black cauldron meant to represent the thing? Okay, yeah. Her stare spoke volumes, far more than 100 words could convey. The goddess who turned her feelings into azure flames. Indeed, her feelings had been declared from the moment she died. That which lurked within the Holy Grail, that which must not be brought forth. I remember, the world. I remember. Your voice is etched into my very soul. Gathering fragments of consciousness, Saber thought. As if in response, a twinge of loneliness mingled in Lancer's eyes, and yet he had no throat to have said the words with, no tongue. His lungs had not formed, so he could not exhale a breath. All he could do was vaguely hold to his regret. Before he knew it, 2 more figures had materialized at Lancer's side. A tall figure with a gentle aura, and a smaller figure hesitantly trying to stay hidden. Caster and assassin. The moment he silently caught their single, soundless nods, Saber redefined his own existence. Outline, form, exterior, the sensation of libs. Libs? The sensational liberals! Oh my god! They're putting chemicals in the Holy Grail, making them liberal! Temporarily formed as ether, as the servant form of a heroic spirit. The sensation of limbs, temporarily formed as ether as the servant form of the heroic spirit, ever so slightly rose, just beyond the place where fallen heroes gathered. Beneath the writhing greater grail, Saber's physical body still existed. There was something in his left arm. The child, Seijo Ayaka, light as a feather, eyes closed in unconsciousness. Besides, a knight's supposed to protect his lady, right? Archer's voice reached him once more. Saber nodded. With his headless head, his headless head. Okay. I mean, I get it, because he's still reforming. But still, speaking of, my head's too high up now. Fix that. There we go. Right? There we go. Right. Thank you. And then... Alright, we're going in. And then the roaring darkness bore its fangs toward the world. A boiling sea of flesh. A ravenous appetite gone mad. The proliferation of chaos. Hundreds of meters below the cliff of despair, deep underground with the Greater Grail as its shell, a colossal being was about to be born, accompanied by an abnormal desire for humanity. Monstrous screams bellowing out from the hundreds of lips that sprouted forth the instant that it lost the girl whom it designated as its mother, became waves of magical energy that eroded space itself, cracking the Greater Grail. Its ferociousness seemed to declare that it was done sleeping, drifting, and waiting.
I want to be born,
it cried out. Pray, pray, birth, evolve, evolve, pray, evolve, evolve, pray, 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 pray. The incarnation of great gluttony and desire. Thy name is Beast. Behold, witness the majestic form of the beast, worthy of the great dragon's throne and authority. That which once existed but does no longer, yet soon shall crawl forth from the unfathomable depths. Born as the king of this world, granted the right to desecrate all things, it approaches the city from beyond the waves, a phenomenon presiding over all vanity and decadence. The sixth beast, ordained with the power to kill, invites countless angry people of this world who condemn, disparage, and insult it, carrying the woman who is the root of all evil upon its back. Okay, so no, this is Mother Harlot, right? Okay. It devours them, embracing and melting them within the heart of the golden vortex. Among the countless multiplying lips, 7 expand and transform into fanged jaws. Oh my god, so this is the Fate Grand Order design. Though its heads had not yet formed, the jaws would soon become heads. Oh my god, so this is the design. When they do, Domina Cornum shall manifest. I don't think that's what they use in FGO. Let me see here. FGO Draco. What's the pronunciation of it? Let me see here. What's the spelling? Domina. Oh, wait. Really? They don't have it on the page? Okay. Wait. Fate. Domina. Because it's Domina for sure. Oh no, is it Domina Coronem? Oh no, it is. That's correct. Wait. Coronem. Not Cornum. I was going to say, that didn't look right. It's Coronem. Because I remember, because like crown, right? When they do, Domina Coronem shall manifest upon the earth. Had Mother Babylon... Oh no, she is Mother Babylon. Oh. Okay, so that's what it's saying. Okay, so no, specifically, Seijo Manaka was the mother. Wait, Mother Babylon. Is Mother Babylon different than Mother... Wait. Mother Babylon. Okay, yeah. Mother Babylon, the horror... Okay, the Mother of Harlot. Mother Harlot, Horror Babylon. Okay, same thing. So, no. So, Seijo Manaka was herself Mother Harlot, Mother Babylon, right? However you want to say it there. But the beast is what... So, so what's being born is the beast that she would have rode. Yeah. Had Mother Babylon still lived, the golden chalice, which was not the Holy Grail, would have appeared at its side. Oh, so like, oh my god, right, because Mother Harlot holds the Grail as she oh my god, yeah. And yet already, the body of Seijo Manaka had been pierced by the Holy Sword and thrown into the dark sea of flesh that formed the beast. Okay, so literally, the Nero that's Draco is meant to be Seijo Manaka. The same idea of a little girl with the chalice, right? Riding the beast. Okay. Okay, everything's entirely clicking into place here. Okay. I get it. And yet, already, the body of Seijo Manaka had been pierced by the holy sword and thrown into the dark sea of flesh that formed the beast. However omnipotent the girl may have been, her soul had surely been spiritually decomposed. Destruction stirred within. Screaming incessantly, it writhed, preparing to begin its invasion of the earth. That's fine. A crushing pressure, vast enough to make the 100-square-meter cavern feel cramped, surged upward from the depths toward the edge of the cliff. As an evil that would devour the cries of anguish and despair from the souls of the sacrificed girls, sometimes killing them outright, sometimes leaving them half alive, the beast of calamity would conquer. Though its path diverged slightly from the predetermined course, it would leap forth upon the far eastern city and slaughter the 10 million citizens of Tokyo. With the girl who manipulated the flow of events with her omnipotence now gone, salvation was no longer possible for ancient Britain. The likelihood that the foundation of humanity would be destroyed was exceedingly low, but how should such a thing be interpreted? Should we rejoice that the world was saved? Or should we lament that Tokyo was not? Laugh, laugh, foolish cardinals. The exalted being you desired will never descend upon this far eastern city. Why would the cardinals be wanting this? Behold, what awakens deep within the earth. That's okay. Is the dreaded beast of calamity. What materialized, absorbing the Holy Grail, is the great terror. What it brings is not salvation. Oh, right, because then that would bring about the... Okay, salvation, right. What it brings is not salvation, is the fulfillment of prophecy. The descent of the Scarlet Beast recorded in the sacred texts. By the time the men of the Holy Church realize it, Tokyo will be no more than a shadow. However, the beast must first form a complete body if it were to accomplish this. First, its head. Eyes, mouth, tongue, torso, limbs, tail. It must be reconstituted as a single life form to reign upon the earth. Is its heart beating? Its lungs? Are its pulse, blood flow, and nerve functions normal? Oh my god, the callback. It must break free of its shell and be born.
I want to be born. I want to be born. I want to be born. So many delicious things I want to eat. More. I want to eat it all. I want to be born. I want to be born.
The seven jaws had at last become lips and spoke human words. Were its accursed brain stems being woven together using a spiritual core as their foundation? No. In the depths of the darkness, someone was standing there. Someone was there, standing in the deepest shadows, at a point where, by chance, the sea of flesh did not exist. There was a knight. You should never have been born into this world. A knight who radiated brilliance, a swordsman who bore destiny, a man standing, summoning the last of his strength to cleave the blackness which would consume the world in two. Should he be called Saber, his master was already gone.
Looks tasty. Looks tasty, looks tasty, looks tasty, looks tasty. Delicious, 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 delicious. I want to eat. Do not interfere. That thing in your left hand looks tasty.
Reflexively, the beast extended itself. A thick, fleshy arm, with enough magical energy as a strike from an anti-army noble phantasm, in heroic spirit terms, stretched 10 meters straight ahead and sought to shatter Saber with its vicious mask of... Vicious mask and speed. But no, it did not reach him. With a mere sweep of his sword, the tentacles collapsed with a crackling sound. Even as the second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to 23rd strikes were launched in rapid succession, they were all intercepted with largely the same motion. The final 5 strikers... I don't think strikers is correct. I think it should just be strikes, right? Yeah, the final 5 strikes were blown away with a single flash. No, it won't work. In his right hand, he held the holy sword. In his left arm, he cradled the unconscious Ayaka. Saber stood unshaken, not wavering an inch. Had he overcome the affliction on his body? Impossible. The price for taking his own master's life had to be paid. Without the benefit of any independent action skill, his manifestation could not be sustained. His body, spiritual core and all, was gradually being reduced to particles of light. He wouldn't last another dozen seconds. Even with the Holy Sword, normally wielded with both arms, how much power could he possibly unleash with his fading right arm alone? Oh my god, I'm seeing words that are exciting! But even so, before he had vanished completely, he would accomplish what he must. He would save Tokyo, along with the child he held in his left arm. Seal 13. Decisions start. It is said that the Holy Sword of the Stars cannot be wielded by a single hero alone. The sword that cleaved the enemy of the stars. Again, both of these make more sense for planet, right? Enemies of the planet, right? I like Holy Sword of the Planet. That's what I'm sticking with. Because it makes way more sense, right? Okay. The mightiest blade, meant to be wielded for the sake of the world's salvation, was far too powerful for any single individual to wield. Thus, the ancient King of Knights and his 12 knights, I don't like the knights there twice, but that is what it is, right? Imposed restrictions upon the Holy Sword itself. The second sheath which concealed the Holy Sword's true power. The 13 strictures? Is it strictures? Is it strictures? Prototype Arthur Excalibur. Is it 13 strictures? What are these called? I'm double checking. Let me see here. Double checking. Oh, they call them the 13 restraints in FGO, apparently. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go with the FGO translation. Restraints there. Yeah. I mean, strictures is a cool word, but I much prefer to stick with what's what's closer to what we hear from other stuff there. So, the 13 restraints. The Holy Sword could only be released under circumstances where multiple honors and missions could be fulfilled. 7 votes were required for a full release. Even after the King of Knights and his 12 knights had vanished from the earth, the restraint should remain eternally binding. Should the current wielder of the sword release its desire, the Round Table would automatically commence a vote. The battle is against one far mightier than oneself. Approved, Bedivere. This is a one-on-one duel. Approved, Palamedes. Wow, do we know what Palamedes looks like in Fate? I'm curious. Fate, Palamedes. Do we know what he looks like? I'm sorry, she looks like? Is she a girl? I don't think that... Okay, no, that's just other stuff there. Okay, there's no artwork of Palamedes. So, Sir Palamedes. Okay, there's a lot of fan servants of Palamedes that are feminine. Okay. This is not a battle against spirits. Approved, Lancelot. This is a battle against evil. Approved, Mordred. This is a battle without selfish desire. Approved, Galahad. And this is a battle to save the world. Approved, Arthur. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many do you need? It said 7 votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we need one more. Never the wielder who holds the Holy Sword. Never the wielder who holds the Holy Sword. Oh. A fragment of the hero's souls imbued within this Holy Sword judge all. Okay, I think this makes way more sense if we do this order, right? The fragments of the hero's souls imbued within the Holy Sword judge all, never the wielder who holds the sword. Yeah, that just makes way more sense if we do it that direction, right? Was the battle worth wielding the Sword of the Stars? Planet. I'm doing it. I'm doing Sword of the Planet. The divine weapon forged for the world's salvation. The weight of the Holy Sword in his right arm, the weight of the child in his left, believing both to be equally precious, Saber raised his sword. Countless tentacles surged forth from the mass of flesh to meet it, but they were too slow. Sick. Oh yeah, he only got 6, huh? So does that mean we don't know what happens when he gets 7? Whoa. Excalibur! Holy Sword, 6 restraints released. Regrettably, he couldn't exceed half of the necessary votes. It did not reach the complete release of a noble phantasm. Oh, okay. But light It did not reach the complete release of its true name. A light was unleashed. An anti-fortress noble phantasm, a golden slash concealing immense power. Even in its incomplete release, the Holy Sword possessed an astonishing power to pierce mighty foes. The swarm of tentacles evaporated. The dark sea of flesh recoiled, trembled, and danced wildly with a shriek. This incomplete release was the second time he'd used it, following the decisive battle at the temple over Tokyo Bay. The first use was while he was fully intact, so what would happen now? Even with the resilient physique of a heroic spirit, wielding the sword with both arms while unable to plant both feet firmly on the ground would be difficult. If Saber could not withstand the backlash of the release, he would shatter before he could even slash. Look. Cracks began to appear in his sky-silver armor. The sound of his spiritual core cracking echoed. Was this the end, then? Would the Knight of Destiny fail to slay the Dark Beast, instead bowing down and being slain by the might of his own holy sword? No. That could not be. Such an ending would be unthinkable. Vanish, foul beast. Your birth surely mustn't occur in this place nor in this time. The right hand alone would suffice, with 7 knights behind it. Though there was no one to bear witness a miracle occurred, a light with 7 colors. The right hands of 7 heroes, firmly grasped the hilt of the holy sword. Oh, that's kind of cool. Even if Saber's right eyeball had split vertically like a falling glass orb and merely etched illusions into his vision still, at the very least his body swung the holy sword in a true straight line. Noble Phantasm's pseudo-release and activation was confirmed to be successful. No adverse effects were observed on the infant in his left arm. The world shall be saved. Even if his left arm was busy protecting the child, the Knight of Destiny fulfilled his oath and swung his holy sword. Slay all the world's evil, to resist all the world's avarice, to open up all the world's tomorrows. From the golden blade, the dazzling light of the stars. See again, it is light of the planet. It is the light of the planet. That's what it's. We always do light of the planet in Fate. I'm sorry, but it's it's me. The light of the planet was unleashed, filling the entire cavern. Several seconds later, the beast let out a thin curry? Curry? Curry. Am I stupid? Curry definition? Is there other things? Groom. Let out a... No. To treat like tanned leather. Okay, this is a... Was this meant to be cry? Why was bro bringing out curry? Because it's, like the whale. Okay, that's meant to be cry. Dude, how does it must have auto-corrected to curry. That's really funny. Dang, yeah, that's not, bro did not, CL, calm down. Anyways, several seconds later, the beast let out a thin cry. Man, it is funny because these last 2 things that we had to change have been during extremely important moments, right? First, Patrick Boivin is the one, and now it's lets out curry. Like the wail of an infant seeking its mother. And yet, pitifully, the beast which... Okay, so this is an excerpt from the Knight Templar records. Okay, so this is another, set of records here. So this is a different one. So let's go with, which did we use before? We used... There was Courier New, but I think for this one we used... Didn't we just use Roboto Normal? I think we just used Roboto Normal, right? Yeah. Pitifully, the beast which was not an archangel wailed, or so it said. One might say that it was appealing to the stars of the night sky, hidden beneath the darkness above, to our Father in heaven, as a pleading for something, but let us refrain. Having manifested thusly, should we not consider that, paradoxical as it may sound, we have witnessed our Lord's majesty? No, this is not an observational report, nor is it meant to narrow the judgment of your eminence. It is purely my personal impression of the matter. Still, is it not tremendously romantic? A beast that devoured the remnants of blood-stained heroes seeking salvation, seeking a mother. To call that great demon as so far from a saint a mother, well, we cannot call that romance, then what is it? Then what is? My apologies, that was just a joke. The beast of calamity did not achieve full manifestation. You confirm no signs of Tokyo's sanctification either. We must conclude that the ritual of the Holy Grail War has ended in failure. All that remains is the immense effort and budget necessary to cover up the numerous incidents that occurred during it. In particular, the disappearance of several United States Navy vessels is utterly unrepairable. The clock tower seems to be putting in full efforts into the matter, but I take no pleasure in owing a debt to those rotten, foolish, foul-mouthed miscreants. Oh, geez. My apologies. We shall demand the utmost effort from the clock tower's Department of Policies. We shall see what they can do. With this, the First Holy Grail War is drawn to the close. Things never seem to go as smoothly as we hope. When the Second Holy Grail War begins, more direct control will be necessary. This concludes my report as Overseer. Alright, I'm going to change this to PS, right? PS. Did Saber, standing before the Greater Grails, the final servant, truly prevent the arrival of the calamity? Did the hero of the Holy Sword, appearing from beyond the realm of fantasy, save the young Seijo Ayaka and save this hideous Far Eastern city, along with the world itself? You know what? Hey, check this out. Check this out. I'm just going to do this. Far Eastern. All right, there we go. Replace all. There we go. Perfect. Where are we? There we go. There we go. Far Eastern city along with the world itself? Well, yes. At the very least, the world did not meet its end in 1991. That much is certain. An excerpt from the Knights Templar records. Okay. The distant past. Memories of faraway days. And beneath the blue sky you should have just seen moments ago. After charging across a battlefield stained with blood, after piling up countless corpses, after the war against the great empire, what awaited upon his homeland of Britain, what awaited him upon his return to his homeland of Britain was the betrayal of the knight-come-usurper, Mordred, and the return to hellish civil war. It could likely be said to have been worse than the last. The glorious Round Table was gone without a trace, and the valiant knights, who were each worth 1,000 men, began to disappear one after the other, losing their lives or leaving words of farewell. In the forest he had come to, leaning against a great tree, he opened his eyes. Saber. No. King Arthur awoke as a man living in the past. He felt an intense pain and fever. The blow he received in the final battle with the traitor seemed to be fatal. Holding on to his consciousness, which threatened to shatter, he spoke. Remember doing something similar just moments prior. How strange. Bedivere. He had been dreaming. Yes, King Arthur continued. The knight listened quietly. The knight listened quietly. Wait, he had been dreaming. Yes, King Arthur continued. Okay. He had been listened quietly, holding his peace as the king spoke through a distant gaze. Even in my dreams, I was fighting. In a strange city of a distant land, with none of you by my side. I wandered like a fool, yet still swung this holy sword. None would dare to call the king a fool. Thank you, Bedivere. My knight. He spoke slowly, then drew a deep breath. The air tasted like blood. Then, my knight, I command you, pass through this forest, cross the blood-stained hill and go to the lake. Once there, cast this legendary sword into its depths. My liege, the legendary sword. The sword of the planet. Brought forth by the Lady of the Lake. Hey, you know what? Hey, check this out. Hey, check this out. Hey, check this out. Plant. There's only the one. Okay. Okay. Wait, I did say plant. Whoops. That's fine. It was only the one. Holy sword of the plant. Okay. Listen. It just makes so much more sense. Did I go too far? I did not go far enough. Wait, no, this is new. Wait. This is new. Uh-oh. Okay, where were we? Okay, there's more there later after. Okay, we'll have to read. Where are we? We were Holy Sword right here. The legendary sword, the sword of the planet that brought forth by the Lady of the Lake. The supreme sword which symbolized kingship, the mightiest of holy swords, which could vanquish any foe. The king had told him to discard it. Well, that looked like a new chapter now I looked at it down there, so it's not the end. Did that not signify the end of Arthur the king? As the bewildered knight wondered why, the king went on. I am no longer your king. I failed to save my homeland, but I shall now exist as a knight once more, Bedivere. May I ask why, my liege? Of course. Closing his eyes, the King of Knights spoke softly. For there still remains one lady I must protect. After 2 fits of hesitation, Sir Bedivere at last fulfilled his king's command. Though he turned back twice, driven by his desire for his king to live forever, he cast the holy sword and its scabbard into the lake at last. The peerless sword, with magical energy beyond human comprehension, was returned to the Lady of the Lake. The next to wield the sword would surely be chosen by one of their own age, the true wielder of the holy sword. Indeed, when he returned to the foot of the great tree, his king was gone. Where have you gone, my liege? All that remained was a pool of blood. Could it be that the king, like Sir Galahad, had that's just how it is when he obtained the Holy Grail, like the savior spoken of in legends, had ascended to heaven in his earthly form? Or had he journeyed to the distant utopia? Or perhaps, maybe... Oh no, there is more still. Okay. Alright. Cool. Never mind, we do have... You know what? This is good, because there's still, like, 40 pages left. And this was already an hour. So we will save this then. One more time. I thought we were done, but no, we're super not. I must have missed this page here. We'll continue next time with Special Act Fate as we finish, up, the prototype fragments reading. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Ciao.
Yo.